Hello again, I am Jim Bob and welcome back to City Skylines Mass Transit. And as you can see, our city has developed itself quite nicely. We're making a lot of cash at the moment, as you can see. And on top of that, the work situation seems to have kind of sorted itself out a bit. We still have a few people that are doing what they need to do, education-wise, to get into these higher skilled jobs that are currently unfulfilled. But our industrial zone, with the lower, skill requirements, is coming on fantastically now that we've got a zone with lower education standards in this area here. With a lot less unskilled workers. With a lot more unskilled workers in this area who are choosing to work rather than further themselves in higher education as well. It means that our industry zone, which generally has a lot more jobs that require unskilled or low-skilled workers, you can see we've got uneducated and educated workers there. They are the ones that make up the main majority of the workforce in lots of our industry. There are some obviously well-educated and highly educated positions available in some jobs. Depends how far upgraded the building is, but most of this, it tends to stay pretty low because we don't have huge amounts of services in here and parks and things like that. So this generally tends to stay at a lower education level than the rest of our sort of commercial stuff and our office stuff. I did throw in some office buildings along with some more high-density residential. So you can see here, this is where our well-educated and highly educated people tend to gravitate towards our commercial zones with the high-density commercial and our office blocks as well. But this city is getting ready to be torn down. We have some new tiles available at last, and once we've unlocked the next one as well, because we're about to hit another unlock which will give us a 5th tile. We only have 2 unlocked for now. I'm going to be ripping everything up and starting from scratch. So this junction here, we're going to be getting rid of that. We're going to be expanding onto the other side of the river, and I'm going to be building a new highway entrance from scratch. And so most of this area needs to go as a result of that. To help speed things up a little bit with the unload of these plants, I'm going to remove that one there because it's empty now, and I'm going to drop in a couple of incineration plants there just to help speed up this being removed and emptied straight into these buildings here. As you can see, the trucks going out, turning around, they're going to come back and make their way back again. That'll help speed up the unload process on this. I think it's around about 40-odd%. 53%, so that needs to hurry up and continue unloading before I can remove it. This one's not too far from being done. It's down to 13%. And as I say, the whole purpose of us building this was to kind of get a bit of cash behind us and unlock some various different things so that we could start really getting creative. So all of this will go, and we will expand into these tiles here so that I can really get to grips with building a highway interchange. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a Diverging Diamond highway interchange. I've done it with normal road crossing, crossings before, crossing over a highway, but I've never done it with highway crossing a highway before. So this should be interesting. To try and put that into practice. Try and keep traffic moving at nice little speeds. The fact that we now have 2-lane highway is really going to help as well. Before we had 2-lane one-way traffic, normal street road like this, but in one-way direction. That was kind of okay, but having freeway is going to help keep traffic moving fast as well, and it's going to look nicer when it's done as well. So I'm not going to get these sudden jerks in speed as they hit random, normal roads and then back to freeway and then back to normal roads and back to freeway. Being able to move from 3 to 2 lanes and keeping freeway speeds is going to be essential. So yeah, looking forward to actually getting that created. We just need to get a few more people into the city. Our unlock is, I think, 18,500 people. Let's have a look at milestones. Oh, just 18,000 people. So we're not far off at all, as you can see. We're really, really close. I'm just wondering if there's anything I can do very quickly just to give our city a quick little boost and speed that process up a little bit. I'm looking to see if there's anything. It's just creeping up little bits here and little bits there. You can see our city is still kind of growing from all the high density I dropped in over, between episodes, where I really ramped up. At the end of the last episode, we kind of dropped in some extra high density residential. I also then went in and dropped in some office and a bit of high density commercial as well, and that's really given our city impetus. And in the time between episode 3 and this episode here, the population has kind of boomed a bit, which is why we're so close to 18,000. As soon as I get that, I will unlock a 5th tile, and then everything will get ripped up, and we will be able to really have some fun with being creative. Now, I have been asked a few times if I'm going to be doing natural disasters with our city here, and the answer is yes. We didn't cover natural disasters with a series, so it makes sense for us to incorporate natural disasters into this. I never turned that feature off. I always left it switched on. So if we go into the options, you can see random disasters are on. I have turned the frequency down just a little bit. In fact, it's probably a little bit too low. Let's set it there and see how that goes. So we will get disasters happen from time to time, and they could be potential tsunamis, electrical storms, meteorites, earthquakes, forest fires. I think there's a whole range of different disasters that we could suffer, and we do have a whole range of buildings to help us deal with that. So if we go into the disaster services section of the fire tab, you can see here we have a disaster response unit. Helps send out helicopters and trucks to clear rubble and rescue survivors. They handle disaster aftermath and burn down buildings, and clean the ground back up again. We have emergency shelters, small and large, for people to hide in. So people whose homes are destroyed can live in the shelter until new homes have been built for them. We have radio masts to enable us to put out emergency warnings, and then we have kind of detection systems. So we have earthquake sensors, tsunami warning buoys, weather radars, deep space radar to look out for meteorites. So we have a few different kind of buildings that we can get to, and there we go. That's 18,000. So that, I think, is going to start triggering now that we've reached 18,000. I think that will actually trigger the activation of disasters on our city now that it's reached a certain size. And there you can see, more importantly, we've unlocked another new tile. So we now have 5 tiles available to us. So let's go to areas. So this is where we are right now, and the main sort of river feeds out to there. And if we want to be able to put in a river connection, a sea connection for freight, with a harbour, like a cargo harbour, then we're going to have to unlock the tile to the next, just to our side here. We're going to have to unlock this top tile just here, because that's the only way we're going to get access to that freight route. We can't do it off the river because the river has got a kind of a waterfall with rocks in the way. We'd have to do major terraforming to clean that up and possibly make it an actual somewhere we can gain access to the shipping route, and we can't do that without buying the tile anyway. So it makes sense, if we're going to do that, to just push forward to all the way to the coast and just build on the coast. That's if we go that way. But what we are going to do is we're going to buy this tile here, and I'm going to buy this tile here, and I'm probably going to buy this tile here as well. Or do I buy this one? I've got 3 tiles to choose from. I could buy this one actually. Let's see, if I want to go 5 tiles, this here is going to give me kind of access to the mountain, so I can maybe put something up there with a cable car. This here If I go 1, 2, we've got a maximum of 9 tiles, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That leaves me 2 left. I could go above, up 1 and get the mouth of the river. That would be 8, and that would leave me with 1 tile left over. And then it would be a case of which way do I go? I suppose I could perhaps take this tile here for the mountain, for the cable car system. I could do that. Yeah, I think we'll do that. I think that'll be the tiles we'll go for. We'll go for this one, that one, the one above it as well, and then we'll finish off with this tile here. So we won't go all the way out to there, but from here and here we've got good access to both ends of that freeway, so that we can really, have some fun creating a new custom interchange just there. So I think I'll get that one. There we go. So we've still got 1.2 million, and we're still earning 20,000, at the moment. So we're really sitting quite pretty in that respect. But everything's about to change, because I'm going to start ripping up all of this road and ripping up all of this city. All of this is going to go. Just need to wait for these garbage dumps to finish emptying before I completely tear the guts out of this area. How are we getting on with this? What's the fill level down to? 27%, so it's getting there. Fantastic. Well, we'll leave the city running like this for a few more minutes until this is empty, and once that's empty, then we're going to, as I say, literally gut this entire city, raze it to the ground, demolish everything, and we're going to start building a custom highway network. And once that's done, we'll start branching our exits off and then start creating our actual districts. So this is where our city will really kind of get started. And there we go. It's taken a little while, but as you can see, this has now finished unloading. So let's get rid of this. And we'll take out the other one as well. And now it's time for the great the great cull to begin, where we rip up absolutely everything and start from scratch. It was always on the cards. It was always the plan to completely decimate this area and start rebuilding once we'd unlocked a few things. And now that plan is about to be enacted. So I'm going to absolutely just rip this entire town to shreds. And I'm going to pause while I do this. Otherwise, our money is going to start plummeting, and we're going to start paying too much. So, while I go in and delete all of the roads, and then go underneath and do the pipes and everything else as well. Like I say, we're going to completely gut this and start completely afresh. And the first thing we're going to need to do, once we've ripped up the highway as well, is build our highway interchange. So, this is all going to happen while the game is paused, like this. So it's not going to affect our finances, because if we start deleting everything and everybody floods out of our city, but we keep running at ×3, which it was doing until I paused it, then we're still going to be paying expenses for all those police stations, fire services, and schools and parks, and everything else that our budget requires us to pay through the nose for, and the upkeep of various different services, etc., and our buses and all of that. All of that's going to keep going out as expenses, but we're going to have no money coming in to balance against it. And all that extra money that we've got is going to disappear incredibly quickly, and we're going to start losing tens of thousands of dollars per second kind of thing. So this is a way for us to really avoid all that expense, is by just going in, ripping everything out while it's all paused, and then when we unpause, once we've kind of built the city back up again, we'll have spent a load of money in building and creating everything. So our money's going to go down anyway, but we'll have a great infrastructure set in place for people to move into. So we'll have a tough period where the city kind of rebounds from a 0 population back up to whatever it's going to end up at. But we will be in a very strong position going forward. So we'll have a little bit of pain, followed by hopefully a fair bit of prosperity. That is what I'm hoping is going to happen. Of course, this could all go horribly, horribly wrong, and this could bankrupt us. I really hope that is not the case. But we've got $1.5 million. So as long as I'm careful with my spending, and I don't overdo it with expensive items, I can kind of plan ahead and build an infrastructure with access, or with future additions in mind, because we have unlocked things like the monorail, and I really want to try out the monorail, but I do know that that is going to be an expensive addition to the city. So as I say, while I rip all of the road network up and then remove the buildings, I mean, most of these buildings will disappear themselves, but the ones that can't be removed, or can't be automatically removed, like these ones here, are incineration plants and parks and the emergency services, things like that, hospitals, etc. None of that will delete itself. We have to manually go in and delete those. So yeah, there'll be some stuff we'll have to manually delete, other stuff that will delete itself, which will be kind of cool. But we're just going to literally rip up everything. Now that we have these extended outside connections, we can rip it all up, and we can really start planning exactly how we want our freeway to go, and then base our city around where the freeway is and how it joins and connects. It's going to be, hopefully, much more pleasing on the eye aesthetically, and also it's going to work a lot better for us just in general as an infrastructure. I do kind of like tearing stuff up like this. I find it almost therapeutic in some ways. So there we go. That's pretty much all those roads ripped out. We'll need to rip out roads over here as well. So let's take this back to about here. Tear all of that out. And of course we have rail access now as well. We have rail access there, and I think we have it over here as well. Yes, we do. So we can also start planning where we want our railways to go. We also have rail access just here as well. So we have 3 different ways of the train being able to come in. Now, one of those I might appropriate as a freight line only, and not passengers. I don't know yet. We'll have to see how that works out. But yeah, we have this great opportunity now to really get creative. So I've still got more roads to rip out. I'm going to carry on doing this, and once this is all done and we're back to kind of square one, I will pop in and show you what we're going to kind of try and create. One of the things I completely forgot about was my cemeteries, and obviously they need to be emptied as well. But you can see we still have some guidelines in place for us to be able to snap roads directly to certain areas, which is great. That's so good, because before we didn't have that. We didn't have that grid system available to us. So whenever we dropped in buildings, we took roads out that were connected to buildings, and we had to try and put a road back in. We had to kind of wing it and guess exactly on road placement, which led to some very awkward moments of trying to get everything aligned. But hopefully just a little bit of road just to allow things to sort of run back and forth between each other will clear all of that issue up quite nicely. So I'm just going to quickly unpause and see if this actually works. I might actually need to put a little bit of power next to those before I forget. So let's relocate these if I can. Yes, I can. Let's relocate that to there. And we'll need to do the same for our other graveyard as well, which is here. There we go. And that'll provide power to these facilities so that they can unload our graveyards into the crematoriums, and when they're empty we can get rid of those. Same as with the trash dumps and incineration plants. It's essentially exactly the same thing. We're taking trash that we would normally just dump in one place, and then instead we're incinerating it. It's the same with bodies. Exactly the same principle. Taking them from where we would normally sort of dump them, so to speak, and then incinerating them there instead. So let's just check that that's going to work. I've got people waiting here at a bus stop that doesn't exist anymore. We're not seeing any vehicles moving back and forth. Oh, that's because I need to set these to unload. There we go. So I should hopefully see hearses moving back and forth. Yes, there we go. Excellent. I need to do the same over here. And you can see already, look, we are losing 13,500, and it's going up and up and up. So I'm going to kind of slow time down again. There we go. I'm going to start removing these services. That I'm paying through the nose for. And you can see also there's a lot of bus stops that need to be removed. We need to go in and remove the buses as well. In fact, actually, can I do that now while I think about it? No, because I don't have a depot. Okay. I'm going to need to put a depot in. Find a bit of road. Let me take that one out there. Just plonk a bus depot there on the end. There we go. Now I can access the routes, and now I can delete the lines and remove our bus stop problem. Is that all of our bus routes? I think it might be. Yep, these all just look to be buildings not connected to roads, so I'll leave that there for a second. Let's continue removing these, because these are all costing me large amounts of money. And as soon as those graveyards are empty, we'll be removing those as well. And doing as I say, a complete reboot on our city. So I'll catch you once that is done and we are ready to start the rebuilding process. And there we go. When I said I was going to rip everything up, I wasn't kidding. So you can see we have a completely blank canvas. Oh, I've still got the district in place. I need to remove that. There we go. Bye-bye Beechwood Square. Excellent stuff. So, the first thing I need to do now is I need to create my junction, and I need to figure out how I'm going to join this. I'm going to join it on this side of the road. Am I going to join it over here? Am I going to maybe bring this freeway down into the city over here towards our industrial zone? Probably. Or am I going to run it along the coast up this way, which is probably more likely what I'm going to do. So I need to make sure that this road here moves away. If I get my cursor up. Yeah, I'm going to move the road here. So this moves away from the river. So I can kind of bring it up here and have a sort of a junction here where the highways converge. And then I'm going to also continue to run it down towards the coast so that we can access our sort of freight over there as well, and then we can have roads coming off this side. Although actually, this is where it gets confusing, because the harbour's going to be on this side, I think. Let me go back to my areas again. There we go. So we were going to go 1, 2, 3 on both sides of the river. Yeah. Okay, so I can run the highway down on this side of the river. So in that case, I'll bring the road out this way, and then I'm going to carry on over here as well. So this is where it's going to get kind of weird. What I'm going to try and do is I'm going to create... You've got this nice kind of little raised area either side of the road here. I'm going to run the freeway through here, and I'm going to create the other freeway going over the top, and then try and merge the two together with perhaps a diverging diamond of some kind. That would be kind of cool to try it with a freeway. So I'm going to have to use terraforming for this. So let's start off by going with the shift terrain. Is this the one I want? Is this going to put it up or down? Let's do just here as a test. That's going to go up. and if I use square, it goes down. Okay, so we can go up or down depending on whether we press X or square. So let me just lower this down a little bit in the middle. It's probably a little bit too much. Bring that back up a bit. Okay, now I want a level terrain, so where is my level? There we go. I need to select a target position, which will be there. And now, holding down X will lower the terrain and to that level. So I'm going to create a bit of a gully by dropping the road down a bit through this sort of canyon here. Let me increase the strength of that. So I get a larger area. There we go. So that just helps out by lowering the terrain down a bit, because the bottom layer is going to be the bottom level of the intersection, and then we're going to have a sort of a mid-level where we have the parts of the crossover, and then we're going to have a level above that where, you know, the other parts of the crossover are crossing over the crossover. So that kind of, it sounds a bit weird, it's hard to explain, but you'll see what I mean when I actually put it into practice. So we'll have essentially two parts to the flyover. We'll have the low level, which is this section here where the freeway is going to be. So let's draw in our freeway, and I'm going to use, because I don't think you can snap with grids with freeway, I might be wrong. Let's see. Let me draw in on a grid. I kind of will. So I want is this 3-lane highway? Yes, it is. Yeah, I want to come down here like this. There we go. I'm probably actually going to push this a bit further along. Let's take it to there. Like that. It doesn't matter about direction because we can go in and change that, but that's not all at the right level yet, so let's go back to our and pause time actually as well. You can see we're only losing just a couple of little dollars, so it's not like the huge amount of money that we were losing earlier, which is important. Let's continue to flatten this terrain out. There we go. In fact, that's actually slightly lower than the road, I think. You got a slight rise there, so I need to take that piece out as well. There we go. That's better. It's all at the right height now. So let's bring this out this way. And I can't overdo it because I need to gradually rise that back up again as it gets towards the river, so I can then raise it over the river. So I think about here is going to be my cutoff. But this means I don't have to come too far in this way, and it also means I can have stuff either side of the river, you know, for standard road bridges and stuff as well. So if we want to drag that, let's try and square that out a little bit. I'm going to try and keep this bit of freeway dead straight, just because it's going to make it much easier to actually create the diamond interchange. Otherwise it's going to start getting messy and complicated. So with that in place, now we can draw this line out. Let's draw it to about here. And I want to put a good space in between the two. Will it let me do that this way? Not really. It won't give me a real kind of indication. So let's switch to regular road for a second. And now I can kind of get my spacing about right. So if I just drop that out there. What's the spacing of freeway just over here, just out of interest? It looks to be maybe a square between them. I want to extend that slightly, make it slightly wider to 2 squares. So let's go back to highway. So that's the kind of gap that I want, slightly bigger, because I think we might potentially have collision issues with bridges. So by having that little bit of extra distance between the two, when we actually have bridges side by side, their structures won't collide with each other. You can see the ground is pretty flat. There's a slight elevation change, but it's minimal, marginal. And there we go. There is the baseline for our freeway. So now we need to have space for the next layer to go above the top. And height-wise, you can see that grid system working for us again. I kind of want that to kind of come over here. Now this is where it's going to get tricky, because I need to build bridges between the roads, but I don't want them to be so high that it's going to make the actual interchange itself awkward. So that's about the kind of height I think that I need. And then I can then put another layer over the top. Let me just try that and see how that looks. That might be a bit better actually. Is that sloping down a bit? It is a bit. Okay, so let's take that out. Try that again. If I put the block to the side actually. Again, we're just kind of getting our bearings at the moment, so this is not what the actual crossing itself is going to look like. Still just getting my bearings on positioning. So I can then work out heights for the terrain to join onto. So you can see we've got a slight downward slope. I suppose actually that's not too bad, having a slight downward slope, because we are going to have you know, something that kind of goes over the top of that and then merges back again. So the reason I'm doing it like this is I want to kind of figure out exactly where my highway lines are going to be placed. So again, there's going to be a fair bit of trial and error involved in getting the spacing on this right, and I'll end up doing a cut away in places just so that we can actually see everything positioned the way it should be positioned. But I think if I have my highway lines spaced there like that, we've got the same gap between them there. And then from here, this is where one is going to sort of go up to, and then over to about here, and then go across like that, and then come back underneath, and then come down to rejoin over here. So I need to now raise the terrain on this side. This is where it gets, you know, this is where the landscaping is going to make things a bit more interesting. So I need to first of all set my level, which I think is going to be there. So it's slightly up, and now I need to raise this terrain to that level, like so. And again, we're going to be rolling back some of these hills so that they're a bit further away and they drop away in places, so that we have space to put in all of our droppers and our raisers, and actually get the roads themselves in. But this is basically, again, just so I can create where the freeway is going to be and where it's going to go from there. It's going to kind of come this way, and we're going to lower that down once it's done. So if I go back to this and now bring the road back down again. There we go. So we've got a slight dip going down like that. That's okay. We can live with a slight dip like that. And then again, I need to put my little spacer road in. Back to freeway. Get the right gap. There it is. And then from here, the easiest thing to do is going to be to plonk that little bit of bridge in first of all, if it will let me. Oh, I've got to raise it up, that's why it's not letting me. Whoops. There we go. And then that should connect nicely there, and connect nicely there. And I can draw that off that way to, say, there. And there we go. So that's a basic crossing of the highways. Now what I want to do is I want to create a kind of diverging diamond. So instead of having the usual sort of off-ramp going, you know, from here and then looping around and over the top and then rejoining over here, we're going to do a diverging diamond. So if I go to the inspector tool, basically. This road here is obviously left-hand traffic. This is going to flow this way, all the way through across like that. But this highway is going to come along here, and it's going to switch over to here, run along this side, and then switch back over to here, and then carry on that way. And the other one's going to do the opposite, so it's going to run from this direction this way, and then go along to this side, and then come along and then go back. Now, with sort of American Diverging Diamonds, where you've got just like a busy road going over a freeway, then you tend to have, you know, all on one level with the Diverging Diamond, and then traffic lights at the ends to create the intersection. And what we're going to do is something a little bit different. We're actually going to have a raised section. So as this road here goes up and over, it'll be higher than this bridge here, and then it'll start to dip down and then go underneath to then connect to this. So this one here will be the one that goes up and over that sort of switch there, and then we'll drop down and then go underneath the raised switch here, and that way the highways keep their flow of traffic. And the reason why I want to do that is because if I've got main traffic, if I change the road directions, this is going to make things a bit easier to visually show you. If I go to change direction, so let's see which way our roads going. Like that, and then switch these. That's going the right way, and then this traffic is coming in this way and going out that way, and then this traffic is going the other way, like that. So that's kind of our main initial kind of traffic flow. But the problem with that is, you know, getting an off-ramp to come from here down to there is easy. Getting a ramp to go to here is more complicated, because we then have to have a flyover that goes up and over and down here, which either goes over that, or we can, you know, bring out really wide and then down and under, and then we've got to do the same this way. So we've got to have traffic that goes sort of around and then under maybe, and then connect that way, or over the top and then come down and connect that way. Having a diverging diamond means we can actually make things a little bit easier on ourselves. So again, if I go to change direction, essentially what's going to happen is the traffic's going to come in this way, and then it's going to switch across with a raised bridge onto this line here, which will be slightly higher, and the traffic will go that way across the bridge, and this traffic will go this way across the bridge. So that now traffic that's coming in this way, you know, if we're coming off the freeway here, we can have traffic that goes to an off-ramp and joins there, no problem at all. And we can also have traffic that then goes on the same height, sort of around and to this section here. In theory, this is how it's going to work. You know, it's going to make things easier, because we can have traffic that joins with the flow of traffic, if that makes sense. It's hard for me to visually explain it without actually having it there in place. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start creating the diamond, and I'll check in and I'll show you some progress as we go. And there it is. It's taken me. It's going to take me a good couple of hours at least. I think it's taken me about 3, maybe 4 hours to do this and build this interchange here. A long time, but I'm kind of happy with the results. You know, it's not perfect. It's hard to do, even with terraforming and scalable bridges. It's still hard to get it exactly the way you want it, but I'm pretty happy with the results. I'm going to go in and just tidy up the terrain a little bit later, you know, smooth off the edges, but I'll give you a run through. So you can see here that in the 2 blocks running up to and then away from the junction, we actually split to 4-lane highway, just to make it a little bit easier, I think, to divert the traffic. And I'm experimenting just here with switching to a dual highway running down the middle, and then as we approach the junction, go to 3-lane as it approaches the the convergence there, just to help traffic get into the right lane a bit easier, and then have a couple of blocks of 4-lane, and then go back to 3-lane to rejoin with the highway over there. And then it's the same, in the opposite direction. And then this is how the Diverging Diamond works. So for those of you that have never seen a Diverging Diamond before, the traffic comes in on the left-hand side here, and if I want to go to the left and join the other highway, then I take this turn off and I follow it through, and there we go, nice and straightforward. If I want to go straight over and carry on this freeway, then I take the right hand fork, carry on, and now I'm on the right hand side, as you can see, and then we go underneath, loop back up, and there we go. And that way we don't have traffic turning against each other. It's all flowing quite nicely. As you can see, traffic coming off that highway there, it's a straight road up and rejoins just like a normal intersection. And then if I wanted to go and join the other highway but go to the right, and then again we follow it along, we go over this side here, we've got traffic joining on this side coming off there, so it's again going in the same direction. There's no crossing of directions, there's no pausing or getting in each other's way. Nice and simple, straightforward. And then we take the off ramp here, spin around, join it with traffic coming from that direction, head down, hit the freeway there, and off we go. So that is the basic principle of a Diverging Diamond. It's supposed to keep traffic flowing faster and better without the need for traffic lights or complicated junctions. Now obviously you can do these with small roads and then traffic lights, and you can get the traffic to pause. It's supposed to stop head-on collisions when you get to intersections with crossovers. This is a little bit different because we're merging two highways together, and I just wanted to try doing a Diverging Diamond with highways because I've never done one with highways before, and I think it kind of works. I mean, the proof will be in the pudding in terms of getting it all connected up and getting traffic flowing on it. But now we've got a freeway that can fly off down here towards the coast, so not much really going to happen in that direction. But what we can do is connect it back up over here. So let's go freeform. Let's kind of try and run it relatively straight for a bit, and then what we want to do here, is I want to try and join that around at a nice smooth angle like that. There we go, we'll change the direction in a moment, and then here again we'll just run this straight down to there. And then that should hopefully kind of follow the same kind of path. And obviously there's a bit more space between the highway lanes as it gets here, just to make it a bit easier for adding in the 4-lane and making sure we've got space for bridge clearance and so on and so forth. So they deliberately space out a bit coming off that corner. Now we need to change the directions. Make sure that traffic is flowing in the right direction. There we go. And now all I need to do over here is, well, we need to connect this up as well. So let's do that before I forget. And here we can kind of just play around with it a bit and have a bit of fun. So I'm going to I want to keep a little bit of space along the edge of the freeway there. Along the edge of the river, because I want to be able to bring in an industrial zone somewhere along there and have the opportunity for barge crossings and so on and so forth. So we're not going to immediately rejoin the river there. We'll kind of curve back towards it. Like so, and I'm trying to make sure that I've got reasonably smooth connections. No wonky kind of zigzags. That looks reasonably clean, no major kinks. And then we'll do the same over here, so we'll drag this line sort of all the way along here. Try and keep the spacing reasonably similar. if we can. And then again, kind of bring this around. Bring it to, let's see, trying to get the angle right. I'm going to have to take this piece out here. It gets a little bit too close and it messes up my my lining a little bit. I'll try and bring it like that. And then kind of run it a bit like that. We'll take that piece out and that piece out and curve that round a bit better. There we go. Yeah, so we've got kind of a split level highway. That's fine. It adds a little bit of a scenic element to it as it cuts through the mountain. And let's change the direction on that. Again, we can always come back and we can reroute this again if we need to. Or we can just touch it up and change things around a little bit. So I need to change direction. And we're about ready to let some traffic start flowing on this. There we go. So hopefully traffic will start to appear on the highway pretty soon, and we'll see it be able to make those connections. And we also need to connect over the bridge here as well. So let's quickly get the highway back up and running over here. For this, I'm going to do straight line over the bridge. So I want regular road, which we can then update. So I want straight. And I want to start getting some gradients. Like so. Same again on the other side. Go up 2 small steps. There we go. And we'll build the bridge to there. Same again on that one there. Take the bridge over to the other side. Go, and now I can start to step it down like so. Same again. Oops, it's too far. And we should, oh, where's that gone wrong? It's gone wrong here. Take those pieces out there. So I need to step that down 1 level by the look of it, and then step it down 1 more there. And they are about the same height and nice and smooth all the way across. Might possibly need to take that up higher, but again, we can come back and raise the height of that again if we need to further down the line. So let's get those roads upgraded to highway. And so we should start getting a nice fancy bridge coming up across here, in theory. Maybe it's not high enough for a fancy bridge, or maybe it's because I didn't draw it in highway, in which case let me take those bits out. There we go, and let's draw those in. Yeah, there we go, now we've got a suspension bridge. So it was that. So in that case, I'll take that piece out as well. And I'll take that piece and this piece. There we go. Excellent. And then same again here. Ah, that's interesting. The columns have moved. Why is that? That's very odd. Very odd indeed. Maybe it's because that's not upgraded. I don't think it is, but you never know. I'll try that one more time. It's probably a terrain height thing that's causing this issue. I'm trying to get it so that the bridges line up square, and they don't want to do that. Okay, so instead, let's try and do it a little bit cleverly instead. If I draw a bridge piece like that, and then do another one like that, and then no, that's not going to work either, because the spacing is still wrong.
Meteorologists have issued a severe tornado warning for the area.
Oh, we have a tornado warning.
Should seek shelter immediately if any is
I don't have a city to destroy, but I do have a very nice interchange that I've just spent hours working on. And the tornado's coming in from the mountain. There it is. Look, it's going to rip up my highway that I've just finished building. No, no, that's not fair. That's really not fair at all. If it does destroy my highway, I'm going to cry. The amount of time I've put into getting this thing constructed, it's not even funny. Oh, I'm watching you, Twister. I'm watching you. These aren't the same height. Ah. It used to be so simple. Trying to build things in this game at times. I mean, you couldn't do much, but you know, it used to be simple. I'm not liking the look of that, Twister. Alright, so there's a slight imbalance in the height, but they're close enough, and we've got that lovely double arched bridge like that. That's what I wanted to see visually. So let's make sure the road is facing the right way. Change direction. There we go. That tornado destroys my intersection. I will not be at all happy. Yeah, you just stay there at the top of the hill. Right. Let's reconnect the highway over here. And again, what we'll do is, when the time comes, we'll do some restructuring work on the highway over here. That's just going to join up really nice and simply. I've built that the wrong way round. And it's from here. I want to draw that all the way up and then come all the way back down on the other side. There we go. It's not perfect again, but it gives you that gradual separation of the lanes as we get towards the bridge. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Let's speed time up. Let's see if we can get some traffic moving. Oh, yeah, here we go. So you can see we have traffic flow on our Diverging Diamond. Now, nothing's going to access this section here, but we should hopefully see traffic coming over the bridge and then turning down and taking the freeway over here. And there goes the twister. It stayed away. Thank Christ for that. Right. And the fact that we can do this all in freeway now, with the 2-lane and 4-lane and so on and so forth, means that we can keep those speeds up, rather than slowing down for for 2-lane one-way road, because you do slow down quite significantly when you hit that stuff when you compare it to freeway speeds. So we're waiting for traffic to rejoin us over here, just making sure there's no errors. No, there's not. See, traffic's flowing beautifully through this section here. And eventually we are going to get some traffic that's going to just flow straight through this section here as well, onto Pleasant Highway and Adams Highway. Oh, here we go. We have some traffic. Beautiful. So you can see that the traffic, it's flowing in both directions as well now. Excellent stuff. So I'm not sure whether I need this piece of triple lane here just to help cars change into the right lane, but it helps, I think, keep traffic away from this join here where necessary. Oh, we can actually see traffic flowing. And there you can see that they are moving away from the junction if they want to keep going straight on. So it's helping to, let the traffic merge a little bit better, I think. Nope. A slight potential collision there, but there we go. So there we go. Our Diverging Diamond is up and running. Our highways are both reconnected. And that's all we have time for. So we completely destroyed a city, and then I spent 4 hours building a new interchange for our highways. Got it all connected up, and that was it. Not a lot, but it does put us in a really strong position now, because now we have all of this space. And we know where we're building, we know where we're going to expand into, so we can start laying down, off-ramps, and we can start building. So we can actually have an off-ramp coming off here into this section, and we could maybe put an off-ramp coming off on this section here. If I do need to build, which I'm probably going to need to do, but if I need to build another interchange, then I'll do that off-camera and make sure that we're all prepped and ready. But yeah, not a huge amount. Not a huge amount gets done in the end, but that is where we stand right now. So I will love you and leave you, so to speak, and I'll be back with another episode of Mass Transit very soon.